You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast. I'm here on time this time. I unfortunately did not make it for the beginning of the episode last week, as our regular listeners have are aware by now. But I did catch up on the last episode, and now I regret ever going to sleep in my life. So thanks, guys.
That's what happens when you leave us alone.
But it ended up being pretty good around halfway through, so I guess I did eventually change my opinion on that episode.
Yeah, when you showed up.
Yes.
Yes.
This podcast is like the MCU because you had to have listened to the previous one to get what's going on now.
Continuity. I'm talking about continuity. I am giving credit to the audience that they remember things that we have discussed in previous episodes. Anyways, so I did try to segue into this about the change opinions, but you guys made me miss the moment there, so I'm just going to...
Whoops.
Whoops.
It's all good. This episode is about games that we changed our opinions on. And, yeah.
And that might... What if one of us changes an opinion about a game during this episode? That would be quite something.
That would be not out of the question.
No.
I think that has happened in the past.
It has.
Yeah, live on air several times.
And I'm almost kind of really excited to see if that might be the case, because I would totally... I hope so, just because it would give me something to talk about, because honestly, I'm at the point where I can't remember very many times where I changed my opinion on a game, even though I'm pretty sure that I have several times. So
Yeah.
a lot of times I'm going to be trying to remember those moments. But
Watch it live in action as it happens, folks.
yeah.
The three of us the three of us are more like the double down type. So this is a tough one. We're way more likely to double down on something. I gotta stop suggesting episodes that I don't have ideas for myself. Because sometimes you call my bluff and you're like, yeah, let's do that. And I'm like, oh, shit.
It's like I come up with an idea and I'm like, it would be great to hear people talk about this. And I'm like, oh, man, but I got to talk about it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm one
I
of the
totally
people.
feel that.
Yeah, I'm the people. What the?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Here's a topic. You want to talk about it? No, you do it.
We do that a lot, and we're like, and you think nobody's going to show up to the episode, but then recording time comes, and here we all are. So I guess it works.
So, okay. So one thing I do want to get out of the way, just because I know that we've talked about this at length many times before, especially between me and
I
Paul.
disagree, but yeah.
No, you don't. You clearly don't. But I do want to just get this out of the way in like 2 sentences or less, or fewer, I should say. Because I'm kind of tired of saying this over and over again now, but changed opinions for me, Space Quest 6, by technicality. It's not that I went back and played it. I haven't finished it yet, but I played a lot more than I ever have before. And in doing so, my opinion hasn't changed for the better or worse, but it changed laterally. So my opinion hasn't changed in terms of like a net movement. It's more just like I like and dislike it for different reasons now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should even start saying something because I don't want to just.
Can you sum it up? Can you sum it up?
I'll read what I wrote in my pre-show notes.
Okay,
It says
I'll allow
SQ6. It says SQ6 less yay. So, because I was doing a boo and yay system,
Yeah.
so I guess like context helps. So my list has boos and yays, so I remember whether or not I liked it or not. Because I forget stuff, and it's just that I'll leave it there. It's less yay. I still love it. I do.
Yeah.
I love the whole series. It's still charming, but it's definitely less as great as I thought it was. And another thing.
Oh. For real?
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay.
No, thanks.
Because I honestly, in that game, I've changed my opinion a bit in that because I didn't notice the continuity errors when I played it, all I noticed is that Roger was taller and skinnier and the animation was a bit weird and different. It was kind of easy. And so I liked it like fairly well. So later on, I like it like, I don't like it a lot less really or more either. I'm about the same. I'm not really changed.
Damn it, I gotta say one more thing because you said continuity. Okay, before I had played them wildly out of order. Oh, that's right, this isn't a bit, I'm saying this.
I'm in now, I'm in.
I played them really out of order, and then a few years ago I played them all in order. And that's when I lost a lot for it because I wanted answers at that point. And I'm like, now I'm invested in the overarching story and I wanted answers and I didn't get them. I'll stop there. I'm done.
Okay.
And Beatrice.
This is where, folks, you'll notice there was a little clip. Yeah, we edited out like the last, 15 or 20 minutes of what he was saying. We're back to it now. Rick, do you have another idea?
Okay, well, actually, you know what? Just because it's not too far off the same path, this is a marginal movement, but I have always said that Space Quest 2 is kind of my second least favorite in the series, just above 6, and it still remains in that spot, but, I've gone back and looked at it, and although I haven't really budged on it that much, I do have a much greater appreciation for the art in that game, and so I do appreciate it a lot more, at least visually.
Yeah, you've reminded me that should have been on my list because I really didn't like Space Quest 2 I thought. And I think I'm rectifying this on the podcast too, because like many episodes ago, probably 100, I kind of shit on it a bit. And they were jokes. And actually, I kind of stand by the jokes. Some of them weren't bad. Like if you have the whole universe to explore and render in your imagination, you choose, a jungle. So, that's a retelling of it. You had to be there. It was a lot better. But I went back and
I've seen people saying,
it.
you do a whole game about space and it's all in a jungle, right? But that's not the point anymore.
Right. Yeah. I think I still had to get past that or over that or whatever. But yeah, once just going back, it was just without thinking, it was just fun. Like I really had a fun time playing. It was just a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I grouped it in with the early games. I grouped it in with the games that I told you before. They just didn't pause when you did stuff. So it was automatically hard. A game I will use a walkthrough for because it is not a game I can play without one. So I didn't play it till a little bit later. Mm-hmm. Not a little bit later being I was still a teenager, right? But I didn't play it first. Yeah. So it wasn't like, oh my God, this is my favorite Space Quest. Of course, now as a grown-up, I love it and I appreciate it, but I didn't do it without a walkthrough. So I don't own it the way I would own 4, for example.
Yeah. So, at this point, Space Quest 2 is now is basically the equivalent of Quest for Glory 5. It's actually really good. It just has the misfortune to be in the series against 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. No, exactly. That really solidified my point that I have to judge Space Quest as a series because I had so much fun playing 2, and then I stopped and did the mental listing that you just done, and I was like, no, it's still second to last.
Yeah.
I still got to put it because there's 3 and 5 and then 4. We know numbers. I won't say numbers. You got your 3s, your 4s, your 5.
You got your everything but 2. Alright, so that's already one for me and Paul, so I don't know, your turn.
Y'all have heard me say Larry 5. I didn't like it when it came out. It was not Leisure Suit Larry 4. I've said all of these things before. I know this, and now as a grown up, I appreciate the 90s art, the coolness. I've seen some people stream it. I've talked with you, Rick, about it, and I think that it is a good game. They just did a little bit of pandering that I had a hard time with back then. Mm-hmm. But nowadays I'm like, it's just a characteristic of the game, so it's no big deal.
Where's the cutoff for nostalgia? Because I feel like I don't have an answer to that. I don't really know, but I'm just kind of wondering, is it what's 16, 17? Because what got me thinking that was...
Well, there's no straight answer for that.
There's a lens. There's a nostalgia lens that gets thicker as time goes by. It's really thin when I'm looking at something yesterday. It's like looking through a clear window. The further back I go, the fuzzier or the more magnified or the different view is. So by the time I'm looking through as a kid, it's heavier nostalgia because it has to travel further through that glass to get to you, I think.
I don't think there's any statute of limitations or whatever the opposite of that is for nostalgia, because it's like, I'm nostalgic for 5 years ago in some ways. It's like it doesn't.
Yeah. Or even
enough.
like 2019. Oh man, could you imagine partying like it was 2019?
Yeah, before the sick. All right, that's fair enough. I was wondering because Anna had said you had nostalgia for it, and that would have been like, I don't know, 98 or something, like pretty late in the game. But that's still fair.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you get this one.
Your opinion is valid, Anna, by Paul's decree.
Yeah, we'll allow it for now.
That's what I come here for. Man, I'm going to sleep better tonight.
Don't push it.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess, I didn't have very much written down, because like I said, I'm still trying to struggle to find like that one really good diamond example of a game I really just 180'd on.
We know you didn't have much written down, because this would be number 2. Oh, you need a second one from me? Shit.
I wasn't prepared for this. There's 3 of us. Come on.
Yeah. I was just kind of expecting our banter to just sort of flood away with us, but I also put limitations on how much we can talk about things, so that's on me. The one thing that I have written down, the one last thing that I have written down, until I try to jog my memory a little bit better, but this is interesting because it's actually a bit of a double turn. So a long time ago, I played Ultima 6, and that holds a lot of nostalgia and sentimental value for me, obviously. But before I joined like the online communities of classic gaming, I always maintained my love for Ultima 7. It's like one of my favorite single games of all time. But Ultima 6 kind of, when I tried to revisit it, I found that like I kind of noticed a lot more ways in which I didn't think it aged particularly well. Like the little tiny small game screen. So you have very limited visibility. The controls weren't as smooth. What nostalgia I did have worked against it, because I always remember the little the crappy PC speaker or really crappy sound card that I played it with. So when I heard like the really nicer quality music, it just didn't have anything for me there. And so I was kind of like, well, I guess that's something which I just have to treasure in my mind, but never actually go back to. But since joining the groups and sort of having that more appreciation of hindsight, I've gone back to it and reversed my opinion and sort of thought like, oh, now I can really appreciate it, because I know it hasn't aged well, but I could still enjoy it for what it was at the time, which I'm a lot more sensitive to now. And so I like it again.
Yay.
End of story.
That was an emotional roller coaster. It's interesting you bring up the time sensitive mechanics that were hindering it, like the small screen, like the product of its time factor, because that's I guess I'm subconsciously steering clear of those. I don't know, it's hard. There's certain games that I guess in the 3D era, like it specifically, that when they were trying to look good, like that just look so bad, that would get in the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if you look back at them, take off your nostalgia lenses for a second and just really look at them for a second, with your 2021 glasses on and be like, oh.
Yeah, but I mean, and again, I don't think, maybe it doesn't even really count, because it's not like I thought of it any less of it as a game. I just didn't think it was aging very well. So I just had a brief period of time in which I didn't quite enjoy playing it, which I have since reversed my decision on, and now I'm back to quite liking it again. But I never once thought like, oh, on second thought, this is a horrible game or anything like that.
No.
Right. Still trying to think of a game that did that to me, and I can't really figure it out. I'm sure there is one.
Mm-hmm.
You'll think of it driving home.
From the podcast booth.
Yeah, exactly. All right, here I'll jump in. So I'm gonna open the floor to conversation about King's Quest, because All right, I'm leaving King's Quest 1 and King's Quest 2 off the list because they're pieces of history. It's not fair to judge them, I don't think, with the rest, because they were trailblazing the entire, genre literally and things like that. So anyway, King's Quest 1 and 2 aside for reasons and very wordy reasons we don't have to get into. But King's Quest 3 I turned on because I recently played 3 through 6 again, and 3 is just the worst. I thought I liked it because it has a Gold Rush kind of vibe in the graphics, which is not a coincidence because one of the McNeil brothers worked, who did Gold Rush, also did art for King's Quest. I'm not sure if he did art for King's Quest 3. I'm going to throw that asterisk mark out there in case somebody checks me. But I'm assuming so, because it looks like it, and he definitely worked on King's Quest 1. So anyway, I like the idea of King's Quest 3. It's a really nice-looking game. I wanted to like it. I must not have played it when I was younger. I must have watched somebody play.
Magic.
Because when it was my turn up to bat to play that thing, it was just, it was not a good time.
Liking the idea,
even with the walkthrough.
Probably, liking the idea probably is very key here, because I had a very similar experience. I never played it growing up. So... I did actually, for a while, I heard a lot of people criticize it, even though it's generally well-liked by those who played it. So I was kind of like, I read more into it because I never played it, and I started like, hey, this actually sounds like a pretty novel idea. I kind of defended it, because I thought, people were saying it's basically copy protection in the game. I'm like, okay, well, no, but they did it well. That's kind of cool. You have like the magic book, and even if it happens to be copy protection, it doesn't make it any less of a cool idea. And then I tried playing it, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's also just not fun.
It's a lot of work, stressful.
It is when you're typing the spells out. It's really stressful. You don't want to miss a single key or any wrong letter. It's brutal. It's not a fair game. And then when you play it with the walkthrough, because I realized quickly, and we all kind of hear tell of King's Quest 3 and what to expect and things like that. So it's like, I'm going to try and use UHS, the hint system, but ultimately, like, I want to make sure I play all the King's Quest games and don't get so mad at 3 I quit now. So I allowed myself a walkthrough. And even with the walkthrough, it just reveals a very thinly veiled story. Like, there's just not a lot going on.
No, it's true. I that was another one of the too hard. I'd never even tried playing it without a walkthrough at all. I just played it with a walkthrough. Was like, cool magic stuff, but it never was on my like top 10 list. But the idea of it, right up until now, as far as like, for example, the memes go, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's true for the memes alone. I will say for King's Quest as a series, that the next game completely saved it for me, which is 4. Like that, I fell in love with 4. Like I vehemently just immediately was attached to it and was like, you are now in my top whatever. Cause it was so much fun. I don't know how with the guild, and sorry about the doorknob listeners, I don't know how with the guild that I, and all the groups on Facebook it was never spoiled for me that at some point it turns to night and gets all straight kind of horror. Right. And so to experience that, like, without it being spoiled, it was so cool. Exactly. Like, because of all series, I never thought King's Quest would get kind of dark. And obviously it's a family friendly, borderline, a little scarier than Scooby-Doo, but it's a family friendly scary, but still, it was just the fact that I got a little chills. It was kind of spooking me out a little bit here and there. Like, it made me feel feelings.
A friend of mine, Kran Galara of the Ultimate Dragons, I've been watching her stream her playthrough of the King's Quest series on Twitch. And what she's been doing is basically playing it old school style. Like, she doesn't, she constantly reminds the people in chat not to give her hints unless she asks for it. And she rarely ever asks for it. And even if she does, she like basically says, like, just answer my question. Like, don't tell me anything. Except for like, and she'll ask like vague things like, do I have everything I need? And stuff like that, right? So her thing is that she's going through with as little hand holding or with as little clues as humanly possible. And blah, blah, blah. To cut it long story short, I could spend like an hour just talking about like the how she's doing
experiment that's happening right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
But basically, long and the short of it is that she's playing through it hard way. And one thing which I never thought was going to happen was that she actually managed to just brute force her way through King's Quest 3. Like, she actually managed to figure it out. and get through it, which I thought was like, you can't possibly do that without hints. Like, there's just no way to do it unless you're going to spend like a year at it. But she actually managed to do it. And what I also didn't realize is someone who's playing through without a walkthrough and no hints and no prior knowledge, 4 and 5, and possibly 6, she's on 6 right now at the moment, but at least 4 and 5 are apparently way harder than we really realize because we probably used hints. But as I'm watching her, as I watched her playing it, they are actually really a lot harder than I gave them credit for.
Oh, that's funny because I'm the opposite. I never had hints for 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, but I used hints for 1, 2, and 3. But 4, as I said, did take me a year and 2 months. So,
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't easy at all.
Yeah.
And none of the other ones took me as long as 4 did. And 5 had some funky moon logic stuff going. So it took me like 8 months too, right? It wasn't a quick game.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, like, she's doing it in the equivalent of like, she it's probably about an average, about a month per game, streaming every other night for a couple hours a night. So it's really not that long when you really think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I love it.
So, like when kids have sleepovers and like their goal is to stay up all night, like eat candy and just make it to sunrise and then you can pass out, right?
No.
I feel like I could, it doesn't matter. I feel like I could approach these games the way she did in her streams. Like if it was going to be like that kind of goal where like it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. Like, it's sitting down and knowing like that's the fun of it is figuring it out on your own. Maybe that's the real way to play some of these old ones. I guess. So.
The thing for me though is that it's just so different between then and now. I know people have repeated the sentiment ad nauseum where it's just sort of like, we had time back then. Like now, I'll pay like $20 for a game, but I want it to be done within 6 hours, It's like, if I was ready to commit to being like, okay, this game, which if you know what you're doing, takes like maybe 40 minutes to get through, but I don't, so it's going to take me 3 months. Like if I had this sort of like, okay, well, I can spend the next 3 months doing this, like that'd be fine. But just so many people expect hours and hours and hours in the game, and just when it comes to adventure games, I'm like, I want to be done inside of a day if possible. I don't want to spend, and again, like I say months and months and months, even though Cran over at twitch.tv/Galara_dragon, if you want to follow her, that'd be great. Even though she's been proving it doesn't take that much time, but she also has like this inordinately attuned brain to adventure game puzzle solving. Like I can tell that she comes up with solutions to these things way easier than I would, right?
Right. And so a lot of them are...
Yeah, she just does have that talent and knack and that right mentality and psychology for it that I don't have.
Right.
Because a lot of that's game extenders, right? They're way off the storyline. They're in there because you're like, if you don't know, this game can take you 20 or 30 or 40 hours. But if you do know, you can probably get through this game in a day, which actually leads me to what you say, Rick. Does it make an adventure game more appealing to you, knowing you can use a walkthrough and go through it in 4 to 6 hours versus having to slog through 25 hours of figuring stuff out?
It depends how it's done. Honestly, I mean, I have played games that I really enjoyed, but then like the first sign of an obstacle, I'm just sort of like, not an obstacle, sorry. The first sign of me getting stuck, I just lose the momentum and I lose interest, right? So it's like, okay, here I am. I'm stuck in a puzzle. I've gone through every screen again and I can't figure it out. At that point, I'm just bored. And I know I'm not faulting the game for that. That is entirely me. It's just that I do not have that attention span to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to stand here and click on everything until something works, which is kind of what you have to do in a lot of cases. Even Cran's sort of been doing that at times. Where it's sort of like, okay, well, I just have everything here. I'm at the spot. I'm just going to use everything on everything in the screen, and eventually just muscles through it. And I even playing Day of the Tentacle, which I've been trying to do recently. I've been trying to do it as much as I can without hints, and it's just at times I'm just sort of like, okay, well, I've been back and forth through the screens and I haven't figured it out yet, and now I just want to do something else for a while.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Paul? You have a kid around, so maybe, 2 to 3 to 5 hours is a lot more feasible than 20 to 30. Would you happily sit down and play through a game you've never played with a walkthrough just so that you could get all the way through it? Or is that not worth it to you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I guess, yeah, I definitely find it appealing when I hear the game is like 6 to 8 hours long. That's like, that's a kind of a sweet spot. Like, that sounds perfect. Or one, maybe 2 evenings or 1 full day. I'm going to redirect this back on Rick while I get my crap together more. But let me ask you, Rick, when you get to the point that you just described, where a puzzle just gets to you, do you grab a walkthrough and finish it for the story, or do you just walk away?
It depends on the game. With Day of the Tentacle, I just sort of been sidetracked for other reasons, so it's not the game's fault. But I have been actually trying to use the universal hint system, which I thank you guys for letting me know about, because that has been actually really useful. So, I don't know. You know what? I know that this is one of the things that we keep going back to every once in a while, and I have to say it, that at least in a Sierra game, or Sierra-like adventure game, if I die, at least I kind of have an idea of what to do. When I'm just sort of like left there stuck and not knowing what to do, and they don't even have the decency to kill me off, it's like they're not putting me out of my misery, right?
Right.
I'm just like, come on, tell me what I'm supposed to do. No, figure it out. As opposed to like, oh, that thing killed me, so that's something I should work around.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. Great. Because then in LucasArts, often, not to name drop or anything, you don't know what to do or what not to do, because doesn't really matter. You just want to progress.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm surprised that I've only seen a few games give you more information, more hints, feed you more information the more times you go back. Like, I think it's a really good mechanic to be like, okay, I've talked to the person and none of my items work, and I talk to the person again and nothing. Whereas, like, if you talk to the person, a second, third, fourth time, the game could give you just a little bit more, like trying to, almost read that the player must be stuck if they keep coming back to said character. Like, just reopening the fridge, hoping something new is in there.
Well, I still have one more on my changed opinions list. I don't know if either of you do, but yeah. I'm going to say Civ 2, and the reason I used to hate it was because it wasn't Civ 1. And the story around that is, for one, I lost Civ 1. I really enjoyed it. I liked the square tiles that had the number of moves you can do. I liked the way that it was, the map was flat. It wasn't isometric. I liked that everything waited while you did your thing. Time didn't move funny or squirrely on you. But what happened was I lost Civ 1. I couldn't find it. I had played it and I loved it. And then I forgot about it. And then my dad came home with Civ 2 and I was like, oh man, I was hoping it would be that game with the tiles, because I couldn't remember what it was, but then it wasn't. And then I got it confused and I thought it was Heroes of Might and Magic 1 because it kind of had the same tile movement system ish. Anyways, years and years and years later, probably about 15 years ago, I finally refound Civilization 1, which was funny because I'd been playing Civ 3 for a while and realized that was the long lost game. So that was why I didn't like 2. But now, of course, as a part of the series, 2 is fine. 2 is fine.
Cool. Oh, you know what? I just remembered one that I can throw in here.
Ooh.
Yeah. On the NES, there's a game called Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
And I played it when I was young, like elementary school, I think, or maybe a little bit into high school. And it was fine when I played it. And it was, it was kind of, imagine an adventure game by way of console. And no, I don't mean like King's Quest on the NES. I mean, this sort of like, imagine if a console game decided, let's make an adventure, imagine if a console decided, let's make an adventure game, but for a console, right? So, That's how it felt to me, so I quite liked it, and I put in a lot of time. I liked it all the way up until the final boss fight, which I thought was kind of a bit bogus. But the game leading up to that point, I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. It's pretty open world. It's pretty, you can do all the things like search through all the items. You can search through all the furniture, search through all the places, explore the entire area, and it's great. Mm-hmm. Then much later, I think when it came to the age of emulation, I decided to revisit it, and holy crap, is that like one of the worst games ever made? It's just,
there's a few of those that are like that in
that game is just total bullshit. I just realized it's like, wow, this game is just horrible. Like I don't know I don't know. Like Roger Rabbit's one of my favorite movies of all time. I guess that sort of played into it, and I guess there's also the wonder of it being such an open world for that time, which I never, even more so than any other technically open world experience at the time. It really felt like, hey, I can do anything. It's great. And just, then I went back. I'm like, wow, this is like the biggest pile of crap I've ever
Kind of felt like Bart Simpson versus the Aliens, where you have to paint everything that are in the alien thing. Or no, Bart versus the Space Mutants. That's right, what the game was called. Yeah. That one was, I loved it so much as a kid. I remember remembering that it was hard, but I loved it. And now going back as a grown up, I mean, I get it, I suck, but that game is flipping hard, man.
Yeah, it was. It was. That's about it for me.
Do you have any more, Paul?
Speaking of Nintendo, I've probably changed my opinion on Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, but I don't know.
Except that was the Genesis.
Oh, yeah, touche. Or that's not how touche works, but it doesn't matter.
Or like Echo the Dolphin. I loved that game when I was younger, and I should love it now, but I can't figure the fucking thing out anymore. I'm just like, how did I know what I was doing?
Yeah.
Oh, stupid short story in like 2009 or where. When I was just getting back into all these games, I thought Echo the Dolphin was Echo Quest, and I bought it online.
Yes, that was such a thing for me too.
Oh my god!
I had no idea people. I can't. I already forgot exactly which direction you went in that one, but when people referred to Echo Quest, I thought they were referring to Echo the Dolphin.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's so stupid. All right, I actually have like a bunch that I didn't name because this episode went another direction, but we'll just go through them real quick.
Do that lightning round.
All right, so lightning round. King's Quest 4 through 6, I came around on. I liked them a lot more than I did as a kid. Great job, especially 4. 4 is amazing. I've got plenty I could say for 5 and 6. If you're listening, you haven't played the King's Quest games, be warned. Hear my warning. That 6 gets hyped so much, it's fine.
Yeah, it was never my favorite, and I like it, but I didn't realize how favorite it was for people.
The small portion of it that I played, I loved.
Yeah, it's so pretty. It's such a nice game. It's just not my favorite in the series.
Do you notice this? I was never exploratory enough to have realized, or actually no, I probably was. I just didn't understand the references at the time because I hadn't really played the previous games in the series. But if you're in the pawn shop or wherever and you look at the shelves, the items that you find there are items that are incredibly useful for the previous games.
Yeah, I remember that. That's right, a little in-jokes.
That's awesome.
So satisfying.
I played them in order as an adult, and I didn't get that.
But see, as a kid, if you're playing it because you've never played it before and you're trying to figure it out, you do find all that stuff automatically.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
They had stuff like, you search through the shelves and you find like bridge repair kits and like some sort of like a potion that instills bravery in owls or something like that. Like all the things that really, and it was like every game in the series prior was represented somehow with like all these incredibly useful items that would have totally solved all your problems if only you had it first. Yeah.
That's why anybody was to say that there's not a sense of humor in those games, like there is a layer of humor all the way through.
No, here. I was just going to say that this is the same thing. I'm really glad to have learned that, at least now, because that gives them a lot of cool points. Because that's some of the stuff I've blamed King's Quest for lacking before, which is just fun, just a fun element. You know, it's whimsical, it's fantasy, but sometimes it's not fun. It can be. I like 4, 5, and 6. They're really good. And if you heard me say that 6 is fine, and I just lost my credibility, like, first of all, I should have lost it a long time ago, and we both know that. I'm talking intimately with the listener now. But also know that I played 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the same month, maybe 2 months. So, you know, I there was a little fatigue by the time I got there. And the other asterisk mark I just want to say is it was fun. I really did like it. But I feel like if you haven't played it and you want to feel like it's great, then expect it to be good. And then maybe it'll be great. Because I expected it to be great, and it was good. I might have liked 5 better. Doesn't matter.
A lot of people.
This was a lightning round, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Carry on with your lightning.
Okay, Leisure Suit Larry 5. Boo. I've got that on my list. Sorry, I don't like it as much.
So you liked it before, but you don't like it now?
I did, but I liked it as a kid. Like I hadn't played it since I was like 11, 12.
Yeah. But you changed your opinion, so you did like it, and now you don't.
Yeah, but kid me gets a lot of things wrong. That guy's an idiot.
No, you don't have to apologize. This is about changed opinions. I just want to make sure that you did like it at one point.
I did, yeah. I liked it because it looks like the design on disposable cups from a fast food place in the 90s.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because that's actually one of the things that appeals to me the most about it. Like when I see people play it or when I see screenshots of it, the art and aesthetic is kind of what draws me in. I hear people say it's kind of not a great game, so that's kind of what keeps me at a distance. But it's the art and that style and that total nostalgia. That total 90s really hits me in the nostalgia, and I really want to go back and play that, even though I've never played it before. But every time I look at it, I'm like, this brings me back.
Yeah. So 90s.
Yeah.
Just the most 90s. I'm trying to think something eloquent. It's a swing and a miss.
Condensed 90s.
Yeah, concentrate.
It's boiled. Yeah, it's been boiled down like concentrated 90s.
It's like Saved by the Bell and MC Hammer Pants and Urkel and all that in a blender. All right, next on the list, I got Indiana Jones 3. I love this game, first of all. So it's not like I changed my opinion and now I don't like it. I just used to love it, and I had to be real with myself when I replayed it. And it's not a boo. It's just I'm just disappointed in it. I'm not mad at it. It's just it's got two specific things: walking through the castle and walking through the Zeppelin that really need to go. Right. And yeah, I don't know. I want to like it more than I did because that movie's my thing. I love that movie. But you know, there's Fate of Atlantis, which is the perfect game, which I reiterate because I always feel oddly guilty that I don't bring up LucasArts enough, or I feel like I shit on them, even though like I love all their games, and I'm like, well, how can it ever come across that way since you sincerely love all the games? So I'm just saying, Fate of Atlantis is a perfect game, and Sierra isn't. So, take that, part of me loves Sierra. This is me being fair and balanced. Okay, we're moving on. Leisure Suit Larry 3. I love it. I love it so much now.
So yes.
It's so good. Oh my God. I couldn't get through the beginning. I tried like several times, like 5 years ago and 10 years ago. And like, I would just get stuck in the forest, and I don't know why. I just it was not grabbing me, and I blamed it. And I was like, if it was going to grab me, it would have. I've tried like 3 times. But anyway, I finally saw it through, and it's just the best game.
I mentioned once recently in the Facebook group, I said that 3 is probably my favorite as a game. I just happen to like the AGI art of the first one the best. So I'd really love if somebody could demake Leisure Suit Larry 3 into AGI, but do it from scratch. Like don't just like put it through a filter to change the colors to the nearest equivalent. I mean, like actually just strip out the art and rebuild it in AGI. Like I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about like how some of the VGA games have EGA versions. I just mean like start over, make it an AGI,
Yeah.
but that game, right?
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
game.
All right. Anyway, so the rest of the list here, I think I'm done. Leisure Larry 3. Love There's a lot more adult content in that than I was prepared for in a great way. I didn't know I'd be seeing Larry's member, and it was just a good time. All of it. No regrets. The ending is amazing. That's how you do meta and fourth wall breaking. They just committed and owned it. It was great. Did Space Quest 6, and last one is that I've got is the Dig, which is a yay, because I hated it back in the day because it was so hard, and I'm bad at geometry. Like, got something wrong with my brain with geometry bad. Like, it's just I can't process it correctly, and the puzzles were very geometric with them stones, and I hated it. But I played it recently again, and it is one of the it's just amazing. The storytelling is mint. It's such a good story.
I got the guide
it's
for
solid.
it, so I'm ready for it now. I have it. I've had it since I got the archives, and I couldn't get anywhere in the damn thing. So I should now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you could get through that one with hints with UHS. I don't think I don't know if it's. You know what? You might want visuals of the stupid cane puzzles, like just to see where to put the diamonds so it doesn't ruin your day. Because it doesn't matter, just put them where they go and enjoy the game.
No, I legit have the strategy guide, so I will use what I have to.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to put a cap on this episode, are there any games that you haven't gone back to change your opinion on, but you suspect that if you did, you would probably change your opinion on it?
King's Quest 7.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I didn't like it.
Oh,
I didn't like it. I didn't like it so much as a kid because of what it wasn't.
Right.
I didn't see any, I couldn't appreciate it for what it was and the art and what else was going on. I think if I go back and play it again, which I haven't, that I will be more forgiving on that game.
Fair enough. Paul?
Yeah, it's a good answer. Not Jones in the Fast Lane, because fuck that game.
Fucking Jones.
I love that game. I still do. I'm sorry. I played it recently because I was testing out my DOS-Box. Or was it ScumVM? I don't know. I was testing it on my Android. And I just wanted to test it and I got hooked. I ended up playing a full round.
Ugh, gross. A real answer, I would probably want to go back and play Zack McCracken again because I feel like I would like it.
Okay.
I feel like I can like it because when I played it, I was expecting the LucasArts experience. You get ready for it's just a different kind of adventure game, and it's great. We need both of them. Like sometimes I want that.
You expect like one of the best games ever.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. First and foremost, you expect an exceptional, memorable experience, and second of all, you expect it to be. I don't want to say easy because they're not, but just more of a walk in the park than a Sierra game. Just a little more casual or less intense. I don't know how to word it, but now that I know that it's before they locked into their trademark things, and it is a little more unfair and a little more difficult and a little more Sierra-y, I feel like I'm prepared to like it if I go back and possibly use just hints because
technically we're not
really
allowed
hard
to like games because they're too difficult because we are Sierra fans. So that's like not really a complaint we're allowed to use, I guess, unless it's difficult like a Sierra game, codename Iceman style or something.
I am pretty sure, to the point where if I don't even want to test this out, I'm pretty sure if I go back and play the Dark Half, which we talked about last week, it's probably gonna dawn on me how bad that game is. But I didn't see it at the time, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I really want to play it now because you said you got through it on your own with not much of a problem. Because I'm not gonna say you're bad at puzzles because I don't know, but you sell yourself as bad at puzzles, and that's known for having really hard puzzles, and you had no problem with it. So I feel like I need to experience what the hell's going on there.
Because I don't think they're hard. They might be nonsensical, but they weren't hard.
There was a difference there. That's a good point to make. Yeah, and that's a Sierra Gamer thing. We're used to nonsensical.
Exactly.
Again, like I said, I think, and I don't want to go back to test this theory, but I think that a lot of people who complain about it are sort of thinking it in terms of like, well, if you were to watch this play out as a movie as a literal direct translation of everything that you're doing in the game, yes, it would suck.
Mm-hmm.
But as a game, I just got through it, got a cool story, which may or may not be anything like the movie or the book. I don't know. And yeah, the puzzles also kind of sucked, but whatever. I didn't care. I didn't care for some reason. I'm probably going to care a lot more now, so I'm just not going to do it.
All right, mates, that's all the time we got for today. Thank you so much for listening. Come join the discussion and the community. We're on Facebook. We're a page in a group, Classic Gamers Guild. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at CGG Podcast. Send us an email at mail@classicgamersguild.com. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreons. We really appreciate and love you guys for your support. You can become a Patreon too when you grow up. If you want to, just hop over there and do the thing that they have you do for that. And extra... and I spare no detail when I explain things. Extra special thanks to those in Sid tier. That's Una and Gus, Jean-Francois Paget, J. Holmes, Mark Fillion. Jay, you're going to have to let me know if you're French or not. Mark Fillion, go check out his game, Chinatown Detective Agency on Steam. Wishlist that. And it's coming out really soon, and it's really exciting. That's it. That's all the time we got. Leave us a review and stuff. Maybe actually do that. We know when you don't. Because there's still like 3. All right. That's my guilt trip for you. You don't have to. It's fine. I get it. Don't do murder.